So Adrian was coming to you from Toronto, Canada, and I'm coming to you from Jerusalem, Israel. So as Adrian said, one of my books is Turn Your Husband into Your Soulmate. Well, today I turned my husband into a cameraman. So just like Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, who are also broadcasting from home, well, we can't have anybody come into the house. That's not happening. They had hired a camera crew, but we're in quarantine here. And we got to make sure that we protect, I for sure protect my husband. And I'm not going out to bring anything home to him. And we are hunkered down here. So my husband is the cameraman. Thank you, Rabbi Palatnik. So my husband, so not only, so I told my husband, he's a backup career going here. This all works out. Anyway, I want to thank my husband very much. So welcome to our home. So why are we making chicken soup today? Why are we making chicken soup? Why? Because food in Judaism is more than just something that satiates the body, it touches the soul. The Jewish Food Society, which is an incredible website, please go to the Jewish Food Society. Not only are there tons and tons of recipes, there's beautiful articles about how food connects us, how it's continuity, how it's memory. A very, very special person in our life, Mrs. Helen Berman of blessed memory. She wrote a book called Cooking Means I Love You. And you know, anybody who grew up with a booby, a bubby, a grandma, a zadie, that food is an expression of love, an expression of love. Now, why chicken soup? Why did we choose to do chicken soup? Because when my kids would come home on Friday afternoon from school, you know what they would say as soon as they walked in? It smells like Shabbos. Why? Because they smelled the chicken soup. To me, soup is comfort food. My husband said this week, just make hot soup. Just make hot soup. Why? Because we need comfort now. We need comfort more than ever. So thank you to the Jewish Food Society for making a site to inspire us that we can go to. And thank you to my husband for being the cameraman. And thank you, Adrian, for the wonderful introduction. But now it's time to make chicken soup. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? All right. Now, first of all, it's really easy, okay? Making a good chicken soup, I don't do anything complicated. I have a very busy life, and I'm usually on the road. I'm happy and so blessed to be home now. But so everything I do is easy. So it just starts with water. Yeah, it starts with water. Here we are. We're gonna turn it up a little bit. We're gonna boil the water up. Somebody told me that you should always start with cold water and then heat it up, and that's what I do. I don't know if there's a difference between cold water and hot water or warm water out of your tap, but I read it once and that's what I do. Okay, fine. So I like to make, this is my soup pot. I like to make a nice big soup, and you want to boil up the water. Okay, so obviously what you're going to start with is a chicken. Okay, so here we go. Here's my nice kosher chicken. Okay, here it is. Died for our meal here. There we go. Nice kosher chicken. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Good shot there, Rabbi. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so what are we going to add to it? So it all starts with chicken. Now, you'll notice I put in a whole chicken. I do that. Some people put in chicken pieces and chicken necks and all these things. I put a whole chicken in. Why? Because this is a whole meal. This is a meal. If we don't have guests, my kids, all they want is homemade challah, which is another different topic that we'll do. Homemade challah. They like to have sushi as like a fish pre-course, and they want soup because my soup has the meat in it and has all the vegetables in it, and it's yummy, 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 and it really fills you up. I also, everybody does something different, but I used to make my matzo balls and put them right into the soup. Like instead of making them in hot water separately, I would actually put it right in the soup, and it takes on the flavor of the soup. It's really yum. So some of my kids love matzo balls. Now, as we've grown and matured, my kids have gone off and we're empty nesters. So we started switching over to rice. And because when I grew up and I was sick, my mother would make me chicken soup with rice. And for me, that's comfort food too. So we like to have rice in it. So you do whatever you want. Some people like noodles. So you could always have like you could make a fun thing where you make the chicken soup and you could ask people what they would like. You have different options. You can put them on the table if they want. They can add rice to it. They can add the matzo balls to it. They can add the noodles to it. So something for everybody. But the basic stock, of course, is so important, is the chicken itself. Now, there's nothing like a kosher chicken. I'm sorry. Okay, just even if you don't keep kosher for your chicken soup, especially if it's for Shabbat, get a whole chicken. All right, get a kosher chicken, a whole kosher chicken. Got it? Okay. So this is what I like to put in it. Now the recipe, we're going to put the recipe up for you in the chat box, but you can vary it, like depending on what you like. So we like carrots, so I put carrots in. Now, can I tell you, you see how it's in a pretty glass? When I was a little girl, I used to play cooking show. I really did. I used to watch the Galloping Gourmet, Graham Kerr, and then after the show, I would go into the kitchen and pretend I was playing cooking show. So for me, this is like totally checking off my bucket list, all right, having a cooking show. So here's my carrots, done. There you go. So obviously you peel them and you put them in, okay, it's the carrots. And then the, I like to put in, it's actually not in the recipe, because I when I made that recipe, I actually wrote a book called Friday Night and Beyond, the Shabbat Experience Step by Step. I think it's still in print. So in there, there's lots of recipes, so that what's in your chat box and what you can get on the Facebook page later is that recipe. But it doesn't have this in it. Like this is like a Israeli squash zucchini. I really like that now. And that's what, you know, it's hard to get things these days. So that's what got delivered 4 days later. Oops, after 3-second rule, 4 days later, after we ordered the groceries, this is what came. So this is what's going in my soup. And I actually really, really like zucchini in my soup too. So I'm going to put the zucchini in my soup. Now, there's a lot of water there. Okay, we're good. Okay, now the next thing is onions. Now, I don't chop up the onions to make them little. I like them to be like chunky, so that even when you cook them, you can put, like, you can see it in your soup, like the chunks. But the onions, when I tell you you're going to be cooking it, really give it flavor, and it gets very dark, and it's really yum, yum, yum. Okay, so you can put in, as you just cut the onion in half, and I put it in. You can put more than one onion if you want. It's up to you. Okay. Parsley, very important, parsley. So you can put dry parsley in. It happens to be that you can get really nice fresh parsley here. So what I do is I wash it, and then I put it in like a Ziploc bag, and I freeze it in little bags. And so they're ready for the next one. Okay, so you put in parsley. Okay. Yay. Okay. Then, very important, okay, salt. Woo. Now you don't want to put too much salt in, because you can always add salt. But I put in salt. This is really good, yummy, like kosher, like big grain kind of salt. So really, you just need like a nice, like a teaspoonful. That's all you really need of this one, because it's very potent. It's not like regular salt. Okay, put the salt in. Now, come on. This looks really good, doesn't it? Okay, Rabbi, get a good shot of this. Okay, there you go. There you go. There's your chicken soup. Okay, so what you're going to do now, a very important thing is, okay, you're going to cook it long and low. Okay, you're going to cook it long and low. So what you do is you're going to bring it to a boil, and then you're going to simmer it. And simmer means like little bubbles. Okay, and you cook it long. The longer you cook it, the more flavorful it will be. Sometimes I even start it on a Thursday night. I'll put it in a Crock-Pot if you're worried about being on the stove, and I just cook it overnight. And by the time Friday night comes, oh my gosh, it's like, it's dark and it's so flavorful, especially the onions make it that way. It's yum, yum, yum. Okay, this here is a metaphor for life. So you see, we're taking disparate ingredients, all right, and we got some raw chicken, you got the different vegetables, you got the salt, you're putting it together, and you're making something amazing. So right now, you're under the roof, and a lot of people are inside your house who normally are not there. Kids have come home. You probably, if you're like me, if anybody here who has more than one kid, your kids are different, right? You're a little bit of a wild bunch, disparate, eclectic. We have 5 kids. They're all very different. Religiously, politically, gender, geographically, personality. They love each other. We're a family. You put us all together, all these different groups. If somebody was missing, if one of the ones, we wouldn't be a family. But then it boils. Life happens. Challenges happen. We had no idea what we were getting into when we got married and we had these kids. No idea. If we knew, we probably wouldn't do it. Life boils. And what happens? Things come to this. When you're making your chicken soup, yucky stuff comes to the top. You got this like yucky, grudgy stuff that kind of comes to the top. So what do? You skim, you skim, you skim. And when that stuff, you can kind of see it now. Some yucky stuff is coming to the top. You see this stuff? This is not bubbles. This is like yucky stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to skim, okay? You're going to skim it. And then you keep going back to it and you keep skimming it. That's what you do. Skim. And then for some people, they like to make it ahead and you can put it in the fridge and then the fat comes to the top. And then you can really take the fat off. Now, I think the fat brings a little bit of flavor to it, and that could be metaphorical as well. But some of you have been on momentum trips. And when you come, it's like a rock goes into a pond and all the stuff comes up. Because we run and we do, and we don't even have a chance to even think about our life. We're just so busy with getting everybody where they need to be. And then when you came to Israel, you slowed it down and you were in an atmosphere of wisdom and spirituality. And you got in touch with your soul. But then a lot of stuff comes up and we skim. How do we skim? The scooper we give you is the wisdom and the sisterhood. We're in this together. And just when you think your chicken soup is done and it's good and I've skimmed enough, and you come back and you look and you're like, oh, there's some other stuff came up. Because that's life. And I told you, the best chicken soup is when you cook it long and low. Life, your family, your marriage, raising your kids, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And just like when you're running a marathon, it takes time. And if you exert yourself too much and you react to everything, you're not going to make it to the finish line. You're not going to make it to the finish line. We all want to cross that finish line with our kids, with our spouse, in my self-growth, in my potential, in my Judaism. We want to cross that finish line. So ladies, gentlemen, pace yourself. Pace yourself. Somebody called me today and she said, I was doing great. And then on Friday, I went to buy some groceries and the bag broke and I went home and she started crying. Because she's alone. She's not married, she doesn't have kids. And she just cried. And she goes, Laura, I was doing so great. And today I'm doing better. But on Friday, I was a mess. And I told her, it's going to be like that. We're going to have days where we're going to be parents of the year. We are so awesome. We're like the best. We were so creative today. We're so patient today. And the next day, you want to kill your kids and you want to kill yourself. And for sure, we want to kill our spouse. No, not you, honey. Do you hear? You got to pace yourself. It's not going to be a straight road. We don't know how long this is going to go on. Who had any idea this would ever happen? Ever. The whole world has been put in a little bit of a timeout. When you put your kids in a timeout, you want them to think. So the Almighty has done that for us. Not only He wants us to think, He wants us to think with our loved ones around us, with the short people who look like us, our children, with our spouse. He wants us to, there's something going on. We have to learn something from this. In the meantime, while we're learning it, be good to yourself and be good to others. This chicken soup, it smells Jewish. It smells like a Jewish home. And it's nutritious. And what we're going to do this week, because normally I would never make my chicken soup on Sunday, but this week I am, not just because we're having this cooking show, but we're doing it because my husband said, I love hot soup. Make hot soup. So it's going to be bubbling all week long. I'm probably going to transfer it after it's cooked into a Crock-Pot, put it on low, and my husband can just take what he wants and I can take what I want. You can add rice. You can have some chicken with it, not chicken with it. You can add noodles to it, whatever it is that you want. And put the vegetables that you put in, because your family is unique. Our family, we have some ingredients and personalities. Well, you have different ones. Okay, so you put yours in. And the Almighty's he's gonna boil it up. We're going through a big test. But God doesn't give you a test you can't pass. You couldn't pass my challenge, you couldn't pass my test, and I can't pass yours. But you can pass yours, and I can pass mine. And a little chicken soup, and looking at the Jewish Food Society webpage, and reaching out to each other, all of this is going to help us get through this. We're going to get through this. It's going to be good. Be good to yourself. Oh, look, it's bubbling. There we go. Yay. Okay, so now we are going to, hold on, just turn it down because we're going to simmer it. And now we're going to go to another room, to the dining room. Do you notice anybody here from Argentina? The chicas from Argentina gave me this. Thank you, chicas. So we're going to go to our dining room, and I'm going to answer some questions because you could chat in with your questions, and Adrian's going to select some of them, and we're going to answer.
Hi. Hi, my beautiful friend. Are you there? Okay, Lori's coming on, and we're going to be together. Okay, Lori, your very first question. Join for some of that soup.
Hold on, we're going to get the rabbi to cut off the camera to leave. Did you press leave? Yay! Thank you, honey. You're the best.
Hi, sweetie. Okay, Lori, question number one. How do you slow down in normal times? As in, we're all together.
Slow down in normal times?
I'm not asking you, how does a person slow down? The woman who's asking is saying, how do you slow down in normal times? Like right now, you make chicken soup, it's slow and long, and you were suggesting that is a good way to win the game of life. But in normal times when we're not quarantined together, how do you slow your roll?
I have to tell you, Shabbat is it. If God himself didn't say to me, stop, I would never, ever stop. I would never stop. I would just keep going. I used to work in advertising. I ran, and I couldn't wait for Friday. TGIF, Friday. And then I would run around all weekend long, try and have fun. And then by the time Sunday came, oh no, I have to go back to work again. So whether it was school or it was work, I just was always running. And then as a young adult, I discovered Shabbat. And God said, stop. And I was like, how could I possibly stop? Because if I don't do it, it won't get done. Can I tell you, Shabbat, it's not that the Jewish people keep Shabbat. Shabbat keeps the Jewish people. If it wasn't for Shabbat, I probably would have an ulcer by now. I would have a breakdown by now. Like, you have to turn it off. And this news cycle that's going on right now is a constant intensity.
Right.
It was so fantastic to shut it off and just to breathe and to take a break from it and to let everything settle. My husband and I had such special time on Shabbat. And even though we're together all the time now, we're always on our laptops because we're teaching Torah, because we're watching the news, because we're communicating with everybody out there. On Shabbat, we sat here at the table, just the two of us, for hours. And
that's so nice. Somebody just wrote in the chat, you can't see it, that unplugging in Israel during our Momentum trip was a highlight of her trip for her. Okay, I've got to get to the other questions. What should our main objective be for us as Jewish women to establish these Jewish rituals in our home? What's the main objective of this? What's the purpose?
Okay, so you, again, are making memories. You're making memories. That's what it is. When you have ritual, when you have family, whatever it is, a motto, a song, when you have like inside jokes, and when you have special food, this is what we make of it. Like, I have to tell you, my kids, they love my Passover, my mock chocolate chip oatmeal Passover cookies. I have a recipe. Please put it up in the chat. They couldn't wait this year. We're all going to gather. We're all going to be in Minneapolis this year. It's one of our daughters, our married daughter lives there. We're all going to come from the different cities and countries. And I promised them I'm making the Passover cookies. And guess what? We're not going to be together. So I just sent out the recipe. And I said, guess what, guys? This year, you're making the Passover cookies. And this year, you're going to lead your own seders. My daughter, her husband is going to lead the Seder. He's never led the Seder in his whole life. There's so many people leading Seders. You know what? You're starting new memories. You're going to take from both of your families, and you're going to create your own home, and you're going to create your own memories. Now, you have to ask yourself also this week, one day your kids are going to tell their kids about what happened in the world. What do you want them to say? That we freaked out, that we were cried, that we pressed, that we fought all the time, that my parents were out of their minds? Or do you want them to remember like the funny things that happened and the warm things and that we're in this? This is amazing. You're making memories now. And it starts with you.
You know what? Somebody wrote in the chat that Lori Palatnik is chicken soup for the soul.
Oh, you're so
She's a very bad chicken soup. Okay, 2 more questions for you, if you don't mind, because some of these are technical food questions.
I'm not going anywhere.
So somebody uses the extra chicken from the soup to make chicken pot pie. What do you do with it? What do you do with it?
Okay, so for the chicken from the soup, I keep it in the soup. And the more it cooks and the more it cooks in the soup, it just, everything's very flavorful. So that's why some people, one of my sons, he only likes broth and chicken. Other kids like the vegetables and the broth, and they don't want any chicken. They just want the vegetables and the broth. So everybody likes something different. So if the chicken's in the soup, it's a whole meal. You don't have to make other chicken, okay? You chicken, soup, rice, vegetables, we're good. We're good.
I remember reading in one of your books years ago that you can make Shabbat dinner in a pot. One day we have to have you doing that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, another question. How can I relax myself when I'm worried about the future being uncertain, when the anxiety starts creeping in? Do you have a suggestion for that?
So first of all, one thing that's very cool about what we're going through, it's nobody's fault. And there's nothing you can do about it. Do you see? Like you might as well let go of the worry of the future, because nobody knows from morning until night. Forget about what's going to be next week. What's going to be even tonight in a few hours. You don't know. This is a task of that you realize that you're not in control. God is in control. And all you can do is live right now and make happy memories now. Enjoy your children now. This really is an incredible opportunity. I'm telling you, like, people are saying, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great. Okay. I'm joking, like, oh, it's better to have cabin fever than corona fever.
Okay.
Don't lose your sense of humor. Okay. Don't lose your sense of humor and be present. How many things did you ever worry about in your life that never happened? Countless things. Countless. Well, that was a good use of time, space, and energy and emotion. Countless things. The past is over. The future hasn't happened yet. And yet we're spending an inordinate, crazy amount of time, space, energy, and giving therapists a lot of money to dwell in the past or worry about the future. And what you're worried about may not even happen. If it happens, you'll deal with it. You'll deal with it.
It's almost like, is it just me, or does it feel like every day feels like Shabbat, that we're sort of suspended in this moment without control, and that we're able to sort of be and exist? We've disconnected in some ways, and now we're really connecting.
It is. Talk about this. We always say Shabbat is disconnecting in order to connect. Like, usually I'm running for a plane, or I'm running for a gate, or I'm running to make the talk or to be at the conference. And now I'm not running anymore. I'm just being. I just get to be. It is really such a gift.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. The truth is, I know how much you run it. I have to say, you look pretty beautiful. You're glowing. You're glowing.
That's the most important thing.
Glowing. Of course it is. Okay, one more technical question. How long can you leave that soup on the stove or in the crock pot before it starts to sour?
I don't know. I've definitely done it for 48 hours, for sure. I've done it for 48 hours. I'll start it on Thursday night. I did it this past week. I started Thursday night. What I did is I put it into the crock pot, and I put it on high overnight, and then I added some water in the morning, and then before Shabbat, I turned it on low, and my husband, we ate it all through Shabbat, and also when Shabbat was over, my husband had it again. That was it.
Okay, wait a minute. Just a quick question then to clarify that. You said you cooked it in the actual crock pot as opposed to transferring it from the soup pot to the crock pot?
No, I've done both. I've done it where I cook it and then I transfer it. And this time, actually, because you could do, again, you could do all sorts of things. So this time, a Thursday night, I put it in. I actually put it in frozen. The chicken was frozen. I put it in. I put in all the vegetables, all the salt, everything. And then I covered the crock pot, and it cooked overnight. And then in the morning, I added some more water because it had gone down a little bit too much. But it was really flavorful. And then before Shabbat, before I lit the candles, I put it on low. And then we ate it all the way through. So it didn't go sour. It only goes sour if you either underdo it. If you overdo it, like if you cook it too high, it disappears. If you cook it too low, it can sour. But if you just have it in the crock pot, it's not, you're going to be fine. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so one last thing. Can you give us the proportions and measurements again? It's one whole chicken.
No, okay. There ain't no proportions, guys, okay? So you just put in a whole chicken, put in a bunch of carrots and a bunch of, and I usually cut one onion. Sometimes I'll cut 2 onions. and parsley. And like I put in like a full teaspoon of the very strong salt. Otherwise you would put in a little bit more of the regular salt. But again, you can always salt it later, okay? Like don't over salt it, but you can under salt it, because you can always add it later. And I think in my recipe, I think I added garlic powder too. I don't think I do that anymore. And you have parsley, you can have the dry parsley, regular parsley. Don't worry about it. Like just be creative, okay? It doesn't have to be exactly, okay? I never do exactly. Just throw it in and good Shabbos.
Oh, Lori, I cannot thank you enough. Really, honestly, you are chicken soup for the soul. And now you're going to be chicken soup for my waistline, because I'm making that. If I can
No,
find.
I have to tell you, for the waistline, it's healthy. This is not, it's not full of calories. It's actually healthy. You got good stuff in there. So just enjoy. Adrian, I miss you so much. Oh my gosh, this was like a tease for me.
I love you. And I love you so much. We all love you. You can't imagine. I wish you could see the chat function. Everybody is just sending you their love and respect and adoration, and telling you that all of your postings have brought them such comfort and strength over the last week. You are just a queen, and we love you so much.
Thank you. I'm telling you, I'm not faking it till I make it. Like I really am, like really getting into this, and we're all in this together, and we're going to get through this together. It's going to be great. Just make a lot of chicken soup.